put it on again. So.
In West Science, you'll find Professor Jeff Cardon, Brett Krull, and a lot of yeast cultures.
Yeast is something like us. Might not seem like it, but it is something like us biologically.
These two are researching how yeast cells decide how to use resources they get from the environment.
The idea is that by looking at how yeast cells decide how to allocate resources, we might learn something about how human cells decide how to allocate resources. And this is kind of a hot topic in some way, I mean, not particularly the yeast, but this idea of resource allocation because of diabetes and obesity and so forth, and how do cells decide how much energy to take up and what to do with that energy and so forth.
Krull is a one-man band in this lab. He's taking on the 10-week Cornell Summer Research Institute project, which involves growing yeast plates overnight, counting them, and figuring out what it all means.
The big question here is sort of just looking at alternative cell signaling pathways. So trying to figure out when this main cell signaling pathway is shut off, what can the cell do with different sort of substances to get around this and grow and reproduce and everything. So I'm looking at two different substances. One is a detergent in very low concentrations, and then the other is an alternate carbon source.
This is Krull's first research experience, and he says he's had to problem solve and think on his feet quite a bit. Both Professor Cardon and this Cornell senior are hopeful about the results of the research.
Hopefully we'll be able to get reproducible results and more solid results on what these pathways are, if they are present, and if they're affecting how the cell grows. And then from then on, hopefully in the future, probably identifying what proteins are on the surface of the cell membrane that activate this pathway.
I would hope that we'll have pretty solid data about how these yeast are growing under different conditions, which will give us at least some clue as to what the alternative pathways are for controlling resource allocation.
Krull says he's learned a lot throughout the Cornell Summer Research Institute and says he has advice for others considering research in the future.
I would say definitely try to get an early start on it too, because that'll help you out in the future, get more research opportunities and everything. But definitely go into it headstrong, ready to work, because it is going to be a lot of work. You're going to put in extra hours sometimes, and things aren't going to go right every time.
This is just one story detailing all of the summer research projects going on at Cornell College. Watch for others on the Cornell College News Center or follow us on Facebook for more information.